He is here! Danhang Permanso Terrae! And I didn't need to farm. Well, yet. And, well, that might not have been a problem, but there is an actual potential problem. Hello, friends and strangers, and welcome back to Break Only and another light cone conundrum. For this character, there sadly isn't really a good alternative, except for maybe a light cone from the paid battle pass, but that's, no. And so the question is, should I pull or not? And after looking into it a bit and testing on my main account, I decided, yeah, probably. And so, again, once more, we press the button with passion and trust in the process. And don't get greedy, it will not happen on the first 10 pull, but second is good. Second is post-up is good. That's a good sign. That's wonderful. That is not the light cone we wanted. That is I guess energy region and skill points. That's useful. That's nope. Nope, but links? Nope. Not a nope. Nope, but fox. Nope and nope. And oh, finally, maybe we get compensated with something. Maybe useful character? Worth it? Under normal circumstances, maybe, but for this account, probably not. Well, with that kind of terrible decision out of the way, and another standard pull for good measure, time to at least build the character to make him somewhat functional. And after experiencing some existential nightmares, we get an invitation from Kafka to our new destination. And we arrive on the Luofu as real VIPs do, in the cargo bay. I don't know, like hiding from the paparazzis and going in from the back door. That sounds accurate for this moment. And in this wonderful place of shipment containers and other stuff, we meet our favorite foxy cheerleader, who then escorts us to, well, we escort her, kind of, to the authorities, who then make us run errands for them, or at least the general does. The assignment in question is tracking down Kafka and capturing her. But that might be a bit more difficult than it seems, and so we need a little bit of help. Ting Yun gives us a little robot dog for that, and Marge translates.
That's just the psychic bond between cute girls and cute puppies.
After calibrating the dog and catching up to Kafka, we, kinda just decimate her. Or rather, Dan Hang does. After the fight, Fu Xuan takes over and takes her into custody, and we're supposed to be part of the interrogation. But before that, we need to meet our new guide.
Four of a kind!
At least she gives us insightful explanations.
A jade abacus is just a jade abacus.
Truly insightful beyond compare. As she needs to be when she also guides us in fixing the 5th best supercomputer in the universe. After that, we get on with the actual interrogation. Fu Xuan runs off, and we get to talk to Auntie about the fate of the universe and our place in it. Does this feel different from typical family reunions to anyone? And the tree regrows. But also another thing entirely. Arumaton gatekeepers. In this area, and also before, these were potentially very difficult enemies, because they feature something I would call the nemesis of this account, Toughness Lock. Now this existed before already with Bronya, but you could get rid of it by just getting rid of the normal enemies in the fight. That is, however, not the case with the gatekeepers. Once they enter sanction mode, they are toughness locked for 2 turns. We cannot reduce their toughness, and that means we cannot break them. That also means no break damage, and of course, if they never get weakness broken, no super break damage. This is one of the worst things for this account, and something that we really have to strategize around. Except our base damage is a bit too high. I even replaced Dan Heng, the new one, with Lynx, so that we don't have a new power-crept character just nuke the enemies. But still, this wasn't really a good showcase of why this potentially is a problem. And so I decided to do the next equilibrium trial. Like the ones before, this is more of a formality than a trial. With that done and new problems that just arose, we head to the Artisan Commission, listen to some concerned scholar about their master still being inside. So we open the door, find the master in question. He helps us burn down some roots, and we face our dearest enemy. Or at least my dearest enemy, because the story deer is a joke. But the same cannot be said about the version in Simulated Universe. Which was the first time I ever lost in this game, and so I just have a grudge against this thing. With the deer problem out of the way, we head to the Alchemy Commission to finally find the source of the problems. And I also think it's time to mention one thing. The entire time on the Luofu, I also have been engaging in the most primal of video game player instincts. Letting out your loot gremlin and collecting every single bit of treasure and shiny you can get. Well, I need it. I legitimately just wasted a fortune on a light cone that I'm not sure was worth it, so this is paramount. There is no way around it. This has to be done. And to feel this wonderful moment of treasure collecting with something more, I want to make sure that it is clear. I'm not unhappy because I pulled the Dan Heng light cone. I am unhappy that it took so long on a banner that does not provide anything else of value for this account. All the other light cones on there were just really not useful. Light cones are like the biggest issue this account has. Which, let's be honest, it just simply stems from the fact that Break is not the most supported archetype, and so most light cones are just more generally useful. But since Break doesn't care about higher attack, higher crit damage, crit rate, or damage boosts, a lot of effects just fall away and don't work. Now, of course, this was an issue that was kind of obvious from the beginning, and I didn't go into this without ever thinking about it. In fact, I thought a lot about the option and how limited they are, and because of that I think it is maybe more important to make the few characters we can use function to their best than try to make everything function which will not work anyway. It would be nice though if the game would be a bit more cooperative. Just a tiny wee bit. And we're still on the treasures, huh? Well, I actually do have like an hour of treasure collection more, but I think this is enough. Very important though. And in the same spirit we also have to do every little bit of side quests. Before we finally get to engage with the master of the disciples of Sanctus Medicus. And after a swift victory, Phantylia reveals herself and sends the Anti-Meta Legion after us. This fight is not a problem. But it is actually something that is worth talking about. There are certain parts in the story where you are just locked in. And there are multiple fights one after another with no chance for you to change your teams. And of course, normally that is whatever, but in this case, for this account, we might have to take a little extra look at the enemy weaknesses. We can only break enemies if we attack them with an element that they are weak to. So if we choose the wrong team for one of these story moments, and we cannot change, we might have a problem with the second fight. Or the first one, depending on which one we over-prepare for. In this case, luckily there are ice, physical and imaginary weakness in abundance in the first fight, and they are also much more spread out, but still all present in the second one. So again, no problem this time, but something to keep in mind for specific things in the future. After that, we try to go after Phantylia, but the way is blocked, so we ask Dan Hong's brother, and he does a Moses for us. We have to solve some puzzles to fix the bridge. And then it is time for the final fight of the Xianzhou Luofu, and we have Jingyuan. This is another of those moments where we have a character that is kind of banned on this account. In this case because it is a trial character that has, of course, a crit build. But there's one tiny issue with this one. Jingyuan is never alone. Even if I reduce him to just basic attacks, the Lightning Lord still exists and will still do attacks. Which we can't do anything about, we just have to accept it. Later on in the fight we are also forced to use Jingyuan's ultimate, and again there is no way around it. This time, like, really not. This fight is heavily scripted, it is a story experience. Which was pretty good on the first playthrough, I'm gonna be honest, but for this challenge account that just doesn't help. So again, we accept it and just move on.
I wonder if the transformation of the Xianzhou General into a Void Ranger would cast the Luofu back into chaos. Destruction works in fascinating ways. What are you?
Dan Hong! Do it!
Then we get to say goodbye to the Xianzhou Luofu. But we didn't get to test the new character that much. So, of course we have to try something else now, and that is finishing Forgotten Hall. And the obvious problem happens. We have only one real support with Harmony Trailblazer. The rest of the teams are just multiple DPS units that I normally switch between for the one team. But now we need two teams. Trying to make two somewhat balanced teams around both synergy between the characters and the enemy weaknesses is not that easy with the limitation that we have. Those limitations being partially, of course, the account challenge of only break builds, but also further than that some of these characters are still running around with subpar equipment. Saval has been on a 3-star light cone this entire time, and it still is just the best thing because it gives energy. And even though team building doesn't seem to be that much of a problem under these limitations, but they are showing the need for actual support characters to, support this playstyle. and we don't have access to that. With that being said, this is still mostly somewhat easily doable. My main strategy most of the time is just trying to supercharge one team, giving them all the better equipment, the better characters, and of course Harmony Trailblazer for super break damage, and then have the second team just, well, break the enemy 15 times in a row, because that is what we have to do.
Turn it up! Come feast your eyes! Happy New Year!
Without too many problems, however, we do actually manage to get through it. That wasn't that bad. It is just very much the calm before the storm, because this is the easy version. Not as easy is the second part of the Forgotten Hall, the Xianzhou Luofu themed one. This opens with a very generic fight that's not that much to talk about, and then we get to really feel the Arumaton Gate. Why are there two of them? Well, it doesn't change the strategy, it just makes it more annoying and also more dangerous. The strategy is, however, very simple. Try to trigger Sanction Mode at least one time. In this case, that will happen for both of them. Spawn the fishies because they explode, and put a defense debuff on the enemies. This stacks, and it increases break and super break damage. We want the fishies to die when Sanction Mode is about to end. Remember, Sanction Mode is when the enemy is toughness locked. We want that to end so that we can actually reduce their toughness and then just nuke them into the ground. And then we have to repeat it for the second one. And we also do this by utilizing some of the DOT debuffs that just come with this specific stage of the Forgotten Hall, as well as Shui's, well, Quantum Affinity and her ability to do a lot of damage with Quantum Entanglement if she breaks an enemy. That wasn't that bad, and the other side can't be worse. We even have Harmony Trailblazer for Super Break. Except, this is the side that actually makes it a problem. Toughness Lock is back and worse than before, under the name of something that I never expected to be a problem. Yang Qing. Because, yes, he locks his toughness when he summons his swords. And how do you get rid of the swords? Easy, just break them. They just have randomly assigned his elements. Oh, yeah, there's only one electric character that is leveled on this account right now, and that is Serval. And I already used her for side 1, so we can't break that final sword. Or 2, if we are unlucky. And our base damage does not keep up with the scaling of the enemies. But that isn't even the full issue. We could potentially do this, it would just take very long, but we might not even be able to survive till that point. So, after trying again with a different team combination and assigning our characters much more strategically, we actually get through this. We're just not fast enough to claim all the rewards. I'm going to take this as a sign that this is how far it goes right now, and we have to level up, upgrade our characters in other ways, farm more relics, etc, etc, and solve the issue for Team 2 having no super break. But out of curiosity, just because you never know, I actually decided to at least try the first stage of the actual Memory of Chaos. And, I mean, we already probably know how good this goes, and yes, it goes as well as you think. Not good. Not good at all, but oh my god, we actually did it. That was wave 1. Why did I forget that there are 2 waves in these? This is not the first time I do that. Why did I? I guess I was just so excited after having to restart this multiple times that it worked. But yeah, this is how far it goes right now. But that is not a problem at all, because the next character that we actually want is a lot of time away, so there's a lot of time to use on farming, upgrading, doing all the side quests, etc. No issue at all. And so I instead push on into more simulated universe. First, a little bit of extra Kafka, and it goes kind of like in the story. After that, also the next Equilibrium trial without issues, and then more of simulated universe. The next world featuring Cocolia, which is not that much of a problem, especially since we only need one team, so we can just use our strongest characters for this. And then we get to do a thing that makes me happy. Bully the deer, freeze it forever so it does never take a turn, and clobber it over the head with a broom. What? I already said I have a grudge against this thing. I meant it. And I also wanna take this time to throw around a little bit of appreciation for Misha. Not just is his old incredibly helpful, but he's also just a very fun to use character that I really think is underappreciated. And kind of, honestly, I wanna build him on a hybrid build on my main account now. And that was supposed to be it for this video. But something else came up. The release of Chaos Zero Nightmare. And I tested it on the first day and enjoyed it a lot. Like, a lot. Like, would throw a group of enemy schoolgirls into the ever-encroaching maw of the abyss again, kind of, a lot. Also trauma, if you want. And I, as the very professional YouTuber that I am, didn't record it. Please do not ask me why, I don't understand it myself. But it is just a lot of time spent on not working on this video. So I compensated in the other direction. And that means I wanted to start something more, or rather finish something I started last time. Getting a new character with March 7th, The Hunt. And so I started the finest duel under the pristine blue to get her. Or how you could also title this quest line, the highest density of cutscenes in the entire game, at least per playtime. Anyway, we get invited by Jing Yuan to the War Dance event, have a little meeting with the Borisons, just some random friendly space werewolves. That probably doesn't mean anything and is completely unrelated to anything else. Have to do some inspection work, and there is just a random werewolf mech inside that turns on its own. Also probably unrelated to anything else. Then we get to see our two favorite adult children have a little squabble. Hi Feixiao, you are definitely my favorite zealous crusader general. And then March gets to learn sword fighting. This is where we get the character. We are, however, not going to do the actual sword training, that is the event I already did last time. And instead we are going to follow around some suspicious people who are wolves in disguise. Also probably unrelated. And then we go to prison. Not like that, just for like sightseeing of truly interesting prison wonders, like the most unnecessarily oversized key. Wow, so big. And the non-rotating staircase. It even rumbles. So authentic. And interpretive dancers? I'm not sure what else you get on sightseeing tours in prisons, but this was not on the list. And our final stop on the tour is all the dangerous cargo with wolf mechs. that have been delivered to the prison for safekeeping because they're dangerous. Wait. Does this mean this was all planned from the beginning? And prison break happens. Oh no, this was planned from the beginning. This had something to do with one another. Who could have foreseen that? And yet all this happening because the Borson want their big bad wolf war chief Hule back. And they succeed. After Hule's escape, we of course want to track him down, but that is problematic because they are all disguised again, remember that part? And so instead of finding him, we instead have another Borosan attack happening. But this time, we get to play as Feixiao, and we will win them all up and... Oh... Whoops. Well, I forgot my rules for a moment. I like using Feixiao's technique. It is fun. I'm adding the rule that if I forget it for fun in the story, it doesn't count. We can ignore our rules for fun, right? Not so much fun is it to be probably actually on a battlefield with Feixiao. I'm gonna be completely honest. I do not know what is more threatening, being on the enemy side or being in Feixiao's army and just knowing that if she has one of those days, you might just end up as collateral damage. After that, however, our attention is brought back to the actual war dance. That is not happening. But Hule thinks it is, and goes into the trap. Everyone here is just a soldier waiting for him, and we get to fight him with the children. Don't we have an army on standby? It goes as well as you might expect. But after Hule seems to have a little bit of trouble, and through the newfound determination provided by friendship, onto, well, more of the same fight. And in Phase 2, Hule suffers from a bit of a tummy ache, which also can do the fight all on its own. Now that sounds good, but it's actually kind of bad. I wanted to use this fight as some sort of case study. Because Hule is very often used in endgame, and he also has very high toughness, and he gets a lot of extra speed, which of course in turn means he gets to take a lot of turns. So he also will recover very quickly after being weakness broken. But yeah, figuring out how good like normal break stuff works against Hule doesn't really work here. He is just not scaled up enough. It is a story fight, but I just thought maybe we can gain some information here. But like this remains inconclusive.
Impossible! How could a mere whelp defeat me?
After a somewhat epic finish, however, we... why do we have to choose a team? Oh, yeah, Hule doesn't want to go back to prison. He instead just rips his heart out, which... I mean, you have to commend his dedication, and he has his priorities straight. He does not want to go back to prison. This is a bit excessive, maybe, but it does the job, right? Feixiao then devours his heart and runs amok, and the children once again have to face it. Don't we have an army on standby? I mean, I am assuming that it is an army of actual soldiers. You set this trap for one of your greatest enemies to walk in. You filled a stadium with enough people to fool this enemy to think that your festival is going on. Are they cheerleaders? Or where is everyone? Anyway, since everyone else seems to be preoccupied, we are going to fight our general with the children. Well, not really, but story-wise, that is what happens. And after this not super interesting fight, we get to see Feixiao battle her inner demons. Or Hule taking the shape of her inner demons. And after a bit of a talk about shooting stars, we get to use Fei. And this time I remember my rules, only basic attacks. And her follow-up attack that I cannot do anything about. I see a pattern with the generals of the Xianzhou. This fight is, well, could be a problem, but we have number 1, Dan Heng as a big shielder and AoE DPS. And this fight is also somewhat break focused, so it really isn't a problem for this account. Except once more a general of the Xianzhou Luofu in story mode has to use their ultimate. Completely scripted, you can't do anything about it. Always soaring, forever triumphant. Victory is inevitable. But at what cost, Fei? But at what cost? We didn't even get to use March 7 in this fight.
Miss March! Miss March! My dear Miss March! I was only in the bathroom for a little bit, and you've already arranged my deck? Hey, can't you play some normal games with Dragon Lady? Are you amused?
A little bit, yeah. And for the second time this video, that was supposed to be it. There was no reason to cover version 3.7 for this account, so I didn't want to. I just wanted to quietly farm, do all the side quests, etc. But then Hoyo decided to give us another egg to hatch a character of our choice. So for this account I'm going to of course redeem Ruan Mei, as she is a break support. And with that being done, this shall be it for real this time. If you enjoyed, leave a like or a comment, or consider subscribing if you want to see more. And as always, have a nice day, till next time.